Hi, I'm Joy Tarimi and welcome to Distance Cooking with Joy. I am making an enchilada sauce and I'm giving this recipe ahead of time because it takes a little while to do, and I want to give you the option to make this homemade sauce or to use a canned sauce. So we're going to start out first with the ancho chilies. And all ancho chilies are poblamos that are fully ripened and then dried. And it calls for 1.5 ounces if you have a food scale. That's approximately going to be 3 or 4 chilies depending on the size of them. As you can see, the sizes of the chilies can be quite different. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to take the stems out and the seeds of the chilies. When we're preparing the chilies, we're going to take the stems out, and these are going to have the consistency of raisins and also some sweetness of it. This one is not coming out very easy, so I'm just going to cut off the end and then pull out the stem. And then you can use either kitchen shears or a knife and cut them in half. And you want to make 2 pieces out of each of your chilies. And these are pretty soft. They still have some pliability. I've had some in the past that have been more dried than these have been. So you're going to ask where you can buy these. I've bought them at Kroger's in the past. These came from Madison's at Findlay Market. Dean's Mediterranean right next to Madison's also sells them. And they're very inexpensive. I think I paid 35 cents for each one. Now that the ancho chilies have been cleaned, I've removed the seeds and the stems and cut them in half. So I have 6 pieces of ancho chilies, and I'm going to put them in a bowl, and I'm going to measure out 2 cups of beef broth or beef stock. And I pour it into the bowl. And now we're going to rehydrate the chilies. And to do that, we're going to put them in the microwave until they're steaming, which is approximately 2 minutes. Once they're steaming, you want to take them out of the microwave. It'll be hot. And you're going to let it sit for 5 minutes. Next, we're going to heat up 1 tablespoon of oil in a 12-inch nonstick skillet over medium heat. And once the oil has begun to shimmer, add 1 cup of diced onions. And you're going to saute these for about 5 minutes in the oil until they're translucent. After the onions have sauteed for about 5 minutes, and you can see they're translucent and they're starting to brown a little bit, then you want to add 3 cloves of garlic. Now you could put this through a garlic press or just mince it with a knife, whichever you prefer. And you'll let that cook for 1 minute. Okay. Next, we're going to add 1/4 cup of tomato paste. And this is tomato paste from a can. It is not the double concentrate paste that comes in a tube. And you're going to cook this for about 3 to 5 minutes until the tomato paste starts to brown. You're also going to be adding 1 teaspoon of cumin, ground cumin. You can see it's starting to brown up a little bit. Mix through. And you'll want to stir this pretty frequently during these few minutes. The tomato paste has cooked for about 3 minutes, and you can see it has darkened the color and it has an amazing fragrance now. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to put it into a small bowl, and then we're going to be putting it into our food processor. Okay. Next, we're going to assemble the sauce. So first, we're going to go with a chipotle in adobo sauce, and you can buy these in your Mexican food aisle. And they're very strong, so you don't need very much. So I'm just going to use one, which is about 1 tablespoon, and I'm going to mince it with a knife. Okay. And we're going to make our sauce now. So you can use either a food processor or a blender for this. Either one will work fine. And I'm going to add my rehydrated ancho chilies and beef broth to my food processor, along with the onions, garlic, and tomato paste. The chipotle and adobo sauce, ½ teaspoon of salt, and I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Now, I made this originally using an America's Test Kitchen recipe, and it sounded great, but the peppers were very strong and bitter, and you need something to help offset that. And if you've ever had Montoya's mole sauce, it sort of reminds you of that with a little bit of sweetness. And also, I'm going to use a 15-ounce can of tomato sauce, and that will help with offsetting some of that bitterness and heat. So I'm going to start just pulsing this a few times to get the peppers going. And then I'm going to blend it for about a minute. After about a minute, check for the consistency and taste. Make sure it has enough salt and that the sweetness is right. It's perfect. So then I would just put it into a bowl, and you can use it immediately, or you can set it aside to use on a different day. Hope to see you on Monday, August 24th for the Zoom call for Distance Cooking with Joy. Thanks for joining.